So guess what? There's so the Green Party came out. They're trying to screw third parties. Okay, so House Resolution 1 quintuples the amount of money. So they have this bill, House Resolution 1. The Green Party came out against it, and it's there to screw third parties.
Right.
And so watch this. They say the amount of money that Green presidential candidates will be required to raise qualify for. So they have matching federal funds. And so if you're running for president and you raise $5,000 in each 20 states, they would match your funds. Well, now you have to get at least $25,000 per state. Okay, so they raise that. Also, it eliminates the limits. H.R. 1 eliminates the limits on donations and expenditures candidates can receive and blows up the amount of money the DNC and the GOP committees can give to candidates from $5,000 to $100 million. So now the DNC and the GOP could give each candidate up to $100 million, according to this. Is that what you want? So this is to screw third parties because they know they can't sell neoliberalism anymore, and people are done voting for the Democratic Party and the Republican Party. They know this. That's why they're doing this. Also, catch on. I have something. I'm burying the lead. Hold on. Okay. The poison pills in hidden H.R. 1. It eliminates private spending limits when receiving public money, allows candidates to raise unlimited private donations and still receive public funding. It raises party donations limit from $5,000 to $100 million. Most parties have 3 funds, so up to $300 million can be donated. Does not restrict super PACs or dark money. Does not attempt to overturn Citizens United to rein in campaign spending. It does not restrict victory funds. Presidential candidates can raise over $500,000 per donor via a victory fund. And what does the Intercept say about this? What does Ryan Grimm say about this? You don't remember Ryan Grimm? He lied about forced to vote, and he was running interference for the squad, and he tried to smear us who were for forced to vote. First he was for it, then he was against it, then he said we should do more, then he said we're assholes. Do you remember that? He says the Green Party today comes out against public financing of candidates. The only former Green Party member elected to the House or Senate gleefully votes against a minimum wage increase. This is him smearing the Green Party. Do you know who this person is he's talking about who voted against the minimum wage? A Democrat. She's a Democrat, handpicked by Chuck Schumer. This is called running interference for the Democratic Party. That's what this is. That's what this is. And by the way, people see it. Ryan Knight says, this is a lie, Ryan Grimm. Those of us who advocate for a multi-party democracy to break this corporate duopoly are against H.R. 1 because it makes it harder for third parties to be viable and suppresses voter choice. Now, Ryan Grimm doesn't have any character, and he's a coward, and he's a liar. And he smears people to the left of the Democratic Party. That's what the Intercept is now. That's their lead guy who got his ass handed to him by a fucking pro football player over forced to vote. Do you remember that? Being against the provisions of H.R. 1 that make it harder for third parties to get on the ballot is not coming out against public financing of candidates. Unfollowed. They're responding to Ryan Grimm. This represents an utter lack of journalistic integrity. Of course it does. Brian Grimm doesn't have journalistic integrity, just like The Intercept doesn't. They're pro-censorship liars for the establishment, and we outed them for forced to vote. Ryan is fully capable of reading the statements from Greens about H.R. 1, reading the portions of the bill we are against, and understanding that Greens are not against public financing of elections. But Ryan Grimm is a guy hired to run interference for the Democratic Party. Anybody to the left of the Democrats, he's going to smear, which is what he's doing. This is not a factual tweet. This is called a smear by a journalist, a hired hack, a hired liar. He's no better than fucking Sean Hannity, and he's doing it for a billionaire, and he's doing it for the rapacious Democrats who are screwing you right now. This is so you don't notice the Democrats just screwed you on the COVID relief bill, on forced to vote for Medicare for all, and they just screwed you on the $15 minimum wage. That's what Ryan Grimm, he came out, the problem is the Green Party. Could you be more pathetic, Ryan Grimm? Could you be more pathetic? How do guys like that find women to have sex with them? How did that happen? I'll never understand that. I'll never get that. Just a coward from start to finish. A transparent fucking liar. And he's not lying at the behest of poor people. He's lying at the behest of the wealthy oligarchs to fuck over independent thinkers and third-party people who are marginalized. That's what he's doing. That's who Ryan Grimm and The Intercept is. You saw it with Force the Vote. Everybody saw it. And now, look, he's still doing it. Even worse. That's not journalism. That's propaganda. Straight up propaganda. And that's what The Intercept is. And that's what Ryan Grimm is doing. I'm high as a kite in my garage, and I can fucking see through these guys. And the Green Party person who just voted against the minimum wage, he's calling the Green Party person, you know who that person is? Kristen Sinema, the Democrat hand-chosen by Chuck fucking Schumer. Kristen Sinema left the Green Party to join the Arizona Democratic Party in 2004. I think that's 17 years ago.
It's almost like Ryan didn't do his research.
It's almost like he did and still didn't care. Oh. I'm sure Ryan knows that. And he chose to omit it. Because that's the kind of unscrupulous guy, horrible yellow journalist Ryan Grimm is. He's the enemy of actual progressives. That's what Ryan Grimm is. He head fakes you, but what he's really doing is he's screwing progressives and defending Democrats. She was elected to the House of Representatives in 2012. After her election, she joined the New Democrats and the Blue Dogs, amassing one of the most conservative voting records in the Democratic caucus. So here's Ryan Grimm's tweet, and this guy says, this is such a dishonest framing. And it's being done to distract from the fact that the Democratic Party just killed minimum wage hikes for the foreseeable future. It's gross and it's obvious. Oh, so now we're going to go back to, this is when he lied about force to vote. So he lied a lot about, here's one of them. Here's one of Ryan Grimm's lies about force to vote from Ryan Grimm from The Intercept. The Nurses Union lead organizer said that nobody from #ForceToVote even reached out to them about their idea for a floor vote. That's a lie. That's a straight up lie. That woman didn't say that, and we did reach out. So he made that up. That woman didn't say that. He lied. He's making that up. The disdain for organizing doesn't need to extend all the way to not contacting the leading group pushing Medicare for all. And so he's trying to smear us who are pushing force to vote as having disdain for organizing, even though we were organizing. We had 100,000 people show up at our town hall. The squad didn't. That's more members than the DS. That's more people showed up to our town hall on force to vote than the DSA has members. And they keep saying we don't know how to organize. When you have to lie about our organizing, I think we know what we're doing. And that's Ryan Grimm flat out lying. And he's lying about Bernie Sanders' former press secretary. Remember when Force to Vote was no good because I was supposed to let organizers lead the Medicare for All movement? It turns out I had it backwards, and I was supposed to lead the organizers, because that's what he's saying. Please keep discrediting yourself while blaming powerful politicians' failures on a pothead comedian. And, of course, Ryan Grimm was 100% wrong on those facts because he's committed to defending his favorite politicians even as they abandon their own campaign promises to fight for Medicare for all. Here's Brianna Joy Grace, Bernie Sanders' previous press secretary. She says, I've been emailing them for weeks, meaning the nurses union. They've stopped responding when Force to Vote became a thing. Might be because of the holidays, but you're wrong to pretend they weren't contacted. And he was lying. He was lying. And here's when he got his ass handed to him by Justin Jackson over Force to Vote. So here's Ryan Grimm from The Intercept says, it's not my place. It's not my place to tell people what they should do, but it's mind-blowing that there isn't an element of the left using this moment to just oust Pelosi. The far left demand is Pelosi stays, but she grants a vote on a bill. The fuck? Talk about a schizophrenic. It's a tactic. Sometimes it's smart. Sometimes it's not. It depends on the circumstances. If it's third down and you need 1 yard, running might be smart call. If it's 3rd and 30, running isn't a smart call. It's sadly not 3rd and 1 for Medicare for all. So he's trying to make a football analogy why we shouldn't push a vote on Medicare for all in the middle of a deadly pandemic. Justin Jackson, a professional football player, says it's not 3rd and 30 either. It was 3rd down and 30 when Bernie started running and hardly anyone supported the policy. It's actually 4th and 1, and it's on the goal line, down 14 in the 4th quarter, and they're kicking a field goal? How about go for it and get us closer to taking the lead? So that's a real football player and a real progressive exposing Ryan Grimm for being a fraud. Ryan Grimm tries to come back and save his reputation. He can't. Here's what he says. They're worried if they go for it, not only are they certain they won't make it, but they might get tackled in the backfield and turn it over on downs, leaving their movement worse off than it was to begin with. So he's saying if you fight for Medicare for all, it sets you back. Fighting for things sets you back. That's what Ryan Grimm, that's the bullshit lie he's trying to say now. Justin Jackson says, I'm sorry, man, this is a horrible analogy and the type of thinking that gets coaches fired. You have to take risks, especially when the situation is advantageous. You're arguing for the field goal. The safe play actually increases your chances of losing the game, not vice versa.
That's a professional.
Ryan Grimm still trying desperately to save his face. I'm not arguing for either play.
Oh, my God.
I'm just saying that sometimes a play is right and sometimes the same play under different circumstances is wrong. And people can disagree about that, but still want to win. People can disagree about play selection and be on the same team is my point. So he's trying to say, what I said was, this is what it looks like when you're paid to do access journalism and run interference for politicians abandoning their own platforms and supporters. I'm not actually saying anything. That's Ryan Grimm. I'm just throwing any shit on the wall to distract you from the actual issue because I'm not an actual journalist. I'm Ryan Grimm. I'm a propagandist, and that's what I'm paid for. I get a fucking check from a billionaire every week for doing almost nothing. I've got kids. They've got private school, and I'm not going to lose that money. And if it means I have to slander actual activists working for poor people, I'm going to do it because I'm Ryan Grimm and I don't have a conscience and nor do I have character, which is why I'm a journalist working at the fucking Intercept in the first place. I'm a propagandist, and that's what he is. And why do I know he was bullshit? Because the person he was defending and running interference for screwed him. Made him look like an idiot. Here's her own tweet. Ready? Sometimes it's good for members to... Why should you force a vote? Because she says sometimes it's good for members to get on the record so people can't make excuses later. Why would you vote on something that isn't going to pass? That's what the question was. And she's giving you all the reasons. And that's why all these reasons, each one tells you why Ryan Grimm is a liar and a propagandist and gets paid by a billionaire to defend oligarchy, the Democratic Party. And that's what he's doing. Sometimes we vote for the historical record to let future generations know we did everything we could. Sometimes you have bullshit reporters doing propaganda for powerful politicians trying to make a sports analogy and immediately getting owned by an actual progressive and an actual professional football player. Sometimes that happens. So what she's saying is, I was right to do what I did. That's what AOC is literally undercutting the people defending her. She's saying, well, you should force a vote, and this is why. This is the vote she forced on the impeachment, even though they know he wasn't going to be impeached. And she said, you do it sometimes, it creates real political pressure that forces developments. So there's all these reasons why you should have did force the vote. And Ryan Grimm is like, no, but it's 4th and 1 and 3rd and 30 and 6 and 8, and you don't want to do it. And we're all good friends, right? Even though I'm actually transparently bullshitting you. And this person says, AOC, Jimmy Dore was right. Ryan Grimm, it's not what it looks like. Because that's what she was saying. Jimmy Dore was right. Just like Cenk Uygur said that yesterday. And today, Ryan Grimm's out smearing the Green Party. Try to distract you from the Democrats screwing you. Keno S. Neal says, like Jesus, dude. Do your fucking job. Hold these politicians accountable. Real people in the world need health care. They're saying that to Ryan Grimm. We don't have enough votes yet. Maybe later, said Martin Luther King Jr. from the Birmingham jail. So Ryan Grimm back at it, getting exposed by a pothead comedian in his fucking garage. He works for one of the most well-moneyed journalistic organizations in the country that have been caught time and time again lying and running interference, doing conspiracy theories about Russia and the president and anybody who's their political enemy. That's the Intercept. Still doing that. Running interference for politicians as they sell you out. That's Ryan Grimm. And now today, Ryan Grimm is trying to make you think the Green Party is what's wrong with America, and not that the Democrats own every branch. They own the presidency, the White House, the Senate, and the House. They can do whatever they want. And Ryan Grimm wants you to be upset at the Green Party, people with no money and no power, because that's what Ryan Grimm does. He takes money from the powerful and he slanders people with no money and no power, like people for forced to vote or the Green Party. Now go ahead, go follow Ryan Grimm and read his stupid fucking articles at The Intercept. Congratulations. You got to get outed again. And believe me, there are going to be 10 times more people see this video about what a piece of shit Ryan Grimm is than ever read an article he writes. Ever. You should watch him. He goes on Rising with Crystal Ball and Sagar all the time. He's got a contract, I guess, with The Hill. You should, if you want to if you ever wondered, could someone be so boring that my cock actually falls off? Yes. Watch that. Watch when he comes on Rising. You'll go like, oh my God, what happened to your cock, honey? I was watching Ryan Grimm on Rising and my cock literally got bored off. Hey, everybody, this is the part where I tell you where all our live shows are, but there aren't any. And then this is why I tell you to join our premium program and get extra content, but nobody's got a fucking job. So just enjoy the video.